I moved on her, actually. You know, she was down up on the beach. I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it. Whoa. I did try and fuck her. She's married.
That's huge news there.
All of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look.
She's your girl's hot as shit. Look at the purple.
Whoa!
Yes!
Whoa! I gotta do some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beauty. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. And when you're a star, they're lucky to it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab him by the pussy. Grab him by the pussy. Grab him by the pussy. I can do anything.
Hey humans, I'm Amanda Montell, and this is The Dirty Word, where sex and language get it on. Today, I'm going to be talking about what everybody is talking about right now. The Donald Trump-Billy Bush recording heard round the world, but I'm going to be analyzing it from a linguistic perspective. Many people view Trump's remarks from the tape, comments on kissing women without their permission, grabbing their pussies, and being able to get away with it all because he's a star, as the shocking vulgarities from a monstrous misogynist. The media has referred to them as lewd commentary and bragging sex boasts. Meanwhile, in the statement Donald Trump released after the recordings came out, he said it was all just locker room banter, and that Bill Clinton has said far worse on the golf course. Surprising as this may sound, from a linguistic perspective, Trump's description of his remarks is actually more accurate than the media's. Was anybody really surprised to hear Donald Trump say something lewd about a woman? No. We already know he does things like that. And if you listen carefully, you'll hear that what he's doing is not boasting. It's actually something more deliberate than that. The interaction in this recording is an example of male-on-male gossip, a tactic that men use to bond with one another, and a pattern of conversation that has been studied and documented extensively by linguists. In Trump's conversation with Access Hollywood host Billy Bush, he starts out by admitting a sort of embarrassing story about a time when he wasn't able to convince a woman to have sex with him. Then Trump goes on to criticize the woman's appearance, her big, phony tits. And then the men spot the actress that they're going to be interacting with later. And that's when Trump goes on to his grab them by the pussy line, and Billy Bush cracks up laughing. This whole conversation isn't just meaningless lewd banter. It serves a purpose. As linguist Deborah Cameron puts it, when Donald Trump shares his story of his failed attempt to seduce a woman, it's a way of communicating with the other men that they can trust him, and he can trust them. It's a way of saying, we're buddies who can rely on one another. That's the same exact thing they're doing with the grab them by the pussy line and the laughter that ensues. As Cameron puts it, like the sharing of secrets, the sharing of transgressive or offensive words like this is a token of intimacy and trust. It says, I am showing that I trust you by saying things and using words that I wouldn't want the whole world to hear. And it's an invitation for the hearer to reciprocate. It doesn't matter if they believe what they're saying, because the purpose of it all is to bond with each other. And Trump is not the only one guilty of this. This locker room banter, as he calls it, does indeed happen in many places where men gather, from frat houses to brokerage firms to political offices. Even the political offices of many of the men who've now rescinded their support of Trump because of this recording. While the media is focusing on Trump as a unique monster who hates women, what they fail to realize is that Trump is just using women as fodder, like, as Cameron puts it, the fish in a fishing story, or a faceless enemy in a war story. Now, I say all this not to excuse Trump's behavior. In fact, quite the opposite. The fact that women and the sexual assault of women is used in casual banter, not just by Trump, but systematically among men, is the larger issue here, because it reinforces the idea that that sort of thing is A-okay. When you objectify and dehumanize a class of people, Cameron says, whether that's women or a racial minority or anyone, it makes it much easier to mistreat them without feeling bad about it. And when you're part of a tight-knit peer group like Donald Trump and his bus bros, it becomes more difficult to resist. So you end up like Billy Bush, laughing along. My point here is that Donald Trump is right when he says it's locker room banter. He's probably right when he says Bill Clinton has said worse, and that's the most insidious part of all of this. As Cameron says, it is a social practice supporting a form of fraternity that stands in the way of women's liberty and equality. It's so easy to call Trump a villain, but this recording is evidence of a much larger problem, a problem that other men can help stop in the locker room, and that women can help stop on Election Day. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of The Dirty Word, and I'd love to know, what are your thoughts on the Donald Trump recording? Leave me a comment, and remember, stay dirty.